Hello my lovelies. Today we are back for another video. This one is a VR to Nova Mundi Tarot, and it is decks that I would recommend to my viewers. So I am very excited about this. This has caused me to stare at my bookshelf with all of my decks for a very long time. And I love looking at decks that I have potentially not looked at in a very long time. So let's get started. First prompt is Inner Child Work, a deck you recommend for inner child healing, one that feels safe, nurturing, and playful, ideal for reconnecting with innocence, creativity, and emotional truth. So my first deck for that prompt is the Vivid Journey, The Vivid Journey Tarot by Jessica Clare. I got this deck at a place called Half Price Books in Louisville, Kentucky. So this is the guidebook right here. And I fell in love with the backs of the cards and the images themselves. Okay, so here is the back of the cards. Isn't that so cute? It's purple, my favorite color. I love it so much. But the images themselves are very childlike, are very cartoonish, are very welcoming, I feel like. It does still send a message, or send, the message that is needed or wanted. But I feel like this is a very giddy, just a very lovely deck that I feel is very good for inner child work. Look how cute these images are. Like I said, I found this at a place called Half Price Books, and I love it so much. Number one, there's no borders. You know how I hate borders. Just the hair and the silhouettes of the people. Like, I love it so much. This is what I would recommend for inner child work. Okay, put that back. And this is a deck that I haven't really used in quite a while, so I may grab this one here this next month to use in my drawings. We'll see. Prompt number 2 is Shadow Work, a deck that's powerful for helping readers face their shadows, honest, deep, and unafraid to confront the difficult. This is your recommendation for deep transformation and self-inquiry. So this one I picked, I did just recently do an unboxing of this deck, but this one, when I have read with it, it has been very hard-hitting. This deck does not pull punches. It is very in your face, but sometimes, we like a deck that's in our face. So this is the backing, and this deck just very much, so in my unboxing video of this deck, I talked about how you can read it, the 3 different ways that the cards can speak to you, but this one very much hit home. So like this card was drawn for a friend of mine, and it hit home a lot. Source, free message. It seems very unassuming at first when you see the images, but the messages that you receive are very hard-hitting. Freedom, forgiveness. I was going to try and find the card that I got. where is it? Let me see here. Because Karma, there it is. Okay, so this is the card that the first time I read with this deck popped up for me, okay? Karma. And the way that I was reading it for myself was I was reading it from like the entity. So I will just briefly go over. So each card you can read in 3 ways. You can read for your soul, your spirit guides, or the entity. And I asked the entity about karma, and it says, in my last incarnation, I repeated old patterns, karmic patterns. I wasn't really aware of this karma, so I didn't understand what I was experiencing. It was like being afraid of life. I was afraid of what life could bring me. It was like I struggled against life. This may have affected my relationships with others and even with you. Today, I'm aware of this karma, and I understand the meaning of what I experienced. I feel more serene about it all. In my next existence on earth, I know I'll do things differently. You may remember my life's hardship, which you may feel was unfair. Release these emotions and feelings. Now I am free. I wish you the same freedom. I no longer have any anger in me, but I can feel yours. It's not right for you. You can't run away from karma. You need to understand karma so you can turn it into strength. That was very hard-hitting for me because I do have a lot of shadow work surrounding just generational family trauma. And this called me out for it. So Voices of the Soul Oracle is what I would recommend for shadow work. Deity work or spirit guides, a deck that serves as a spiritual bridge, perfect for those working with deities. Spirit guides are higher realms. It holds sacred energy and supports devotional practice or channeled messages. So, of course, I had to pull the deck that I use when I am talking to my deity, the Morgan, the Marielle Tarot, by Marie White. So this is the backing, the Aurora Borealis. I almost said the Aurora Borealis, but that's the lights in the sky. But this deck is something else. This deck is very, get you back in frame a little bit. This deck is very, the Morgan speaks very clearly, let's just say that, through this deck. The images evoke very intense feelings sometimes. I chose this deck way back when I was way back when I was first starting to work with the Morgan, because I couldn't figure out a way that I felt comfortable with communicating with her. And so I was searching for decks, and this one really stood out to me. And I immediately was like, this is it. And so this deck in part helped me to really finalize how I wanted to communicate with her. And that was in letters. I write her letters. I ask for her advice. I ask for her guidance. And then I will draw from this deck to get her answers. And it is a very beautiful, unusual deck. For anyone who has this deck, they know that the guidebook and the meanings that she associates with each card is very unusual. She tells stories and myths and things of that nature with each card as well. But it is just something that really hits deep whenever I am wanting to converse with the Morgan. Fun fact, I just realized the other day, I did not know that so the Marielle Tarot has been released in a second edition that does not have the borders, and a few of the images have been changed. I didn't know that until the other day, but this is the first edition. I bought in like 2016, I think, or around there, so about 10 years old now. But I love this deck so much. And it is so good for my personal deity work. Now, with me recommending this deck for deity work, I am always of the mind that you find a deck that works for you. If this deck does not, so say, you know, that you're working with Aphrodite, this deck would not work for her. Me personally, I do not think it would. Or if you're working with Demeter, who's, you know, Earth and things like that, or Freya, I don't think that this deck would particularly work for those deities, but it works for the Morgan. So that is my recommendation for deity work, the Marielle Tarot, Landscapes of the Abyss. Next, ancestor work. A deck you'd suggest for connecting with ancestral wisdom, whether for lineage, healing, or honoring those who came before. This one opens the path to ancestral connection. So I chose The Wild Unknown Archetypes by Kim Kranz. So get that. This is also one that has like a box within a box. Sometimes I get very annoyed whenever there's a box within a box within a box. And this box doesn't always want to open. Oop! Goodness, I'm dropping all kinds of things here. This is also a circular deck, so I find it kind of hard to shuffle, but that's okay. Ancestor work. So all of these cards are archetypes that you can find and you can associate with people or places or things. The Bridge, the Temple, the Warrior. This is, to me, a very good deck to also deep dive if you want to do like ancestor shadow work. This will very much have you asking yourself very deep questions. So let's just do an example of like the heart. Let's see. It's 31. I also love Roman numerals, and I love that Kim Kranz also very much loves Roman numerals. So for this guidebook, this page is I'm pretty sure that's a full size. Yeah, full size black and white of the card itself. And then over here, you have what you need to know. So for the heart, the home, the center, the throne, it is possible from an imaginal point of view to sense the heart as a place. Either we are there within the realm of expansion and compassion, or we have drifted somewhere else. There is no in between. It is common for us to leave this archetypal center without realizing it, as the world, with its seductive twists and turns, offers us frequent departure. We may even become a stranger to the landscape of the heart, leaving it vacant for long stretches of time. The seat of the heart is often reclaimed by nature, music, dance, and the presence of children or animals. This card encourages us to move past the layers of life's tangles and knots and enter the wild and sacred center of the self. The most precious throne in the galaxy is awaiting your return. And then she has things that she talks about here on the side, like recall the last time your heart was touched. Soak in every detail you can and feel the heart awaken. Then some say there is a cave at the center of the heart. Others say it's a pool with a flowering white lotus. Imagine yourself there and draw what you see. Then you also have right down here, when light, when dark, and go deeper. So going deeper, like listen to Wild is the Wind by Nina Simone. I feel like this can really connect you with ancestors. I have just started using this deck for ancestor work because I am just really starting to find my way and get into ancestor work. So I have found myself turning to this deck to do that. But for ancestor work, archetypes by the wild unknown. And getting this deck back into the box is sometimes very challenging. I also have the mini edition of this deck, the 10, which very much helps me to... The smaller one I can shuffle a lot easier. So I do find myself sometimes going towards the smaller deck. But number 5, divination, a deck that excels in traditional divination. Clear, direct, and accurate. This is your top pick for those seeking predictive insight or practical answers. So I know most people would immediately go to a Rider-Waite-Smith for divination and things like that. That's like clear, direct, you know, it is very, you know, easy to decipher. But number one, I don't actually have any like typical Rider-Waite-Smith decks. All I have are clones and or crazy off-the-wall decks. But the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sturley is one that I feel gives very direct, very clear guidance that I have found. Here's the backing. She is a very thick girl. But this is a clone of a Rider-Waite-Smith, but it is very, very diverse. It is very bright in its colors. Like this one, you know, the Four of Swords, it has some of the original Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, but there's new things. It's very bright colors. She has her hand on her forehead, so she's not really in this restful state that the Four of Swords usually indicates. This to me is, she's trying to be in that restful state, but there's something that she can't really probably get off of her mind, or she has a headache and she can't rest fully until she deals with whatever is causing her head to ache the way that it is. But it is very direct. I love the colors in this deck. I love the imagery, like this one, the moon. You know I love the moon, but look at this little, look at her. She's just hanging out in the water. See, usually we would see either a crab or crustacean or something, you know, that's in the water. We would have, you know, the two dogs or wolves, but in this card, they have dog or wolf masks on. There isn't a crab or crustacean. It's a shadow person. So I like how they have taken the original Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, but put some twists on it. Like, it looks like there's, to me, this looks like a cave at the end of that path. So will they continue on in the light of the moon and continue to find their way, or will they just continue on to that cave and then enter darkness again and not really acknowledging or seeing anything? I love this deck so much. This card, actually, because Coachella was just like a week ago, I think, this card very much reminds me of Coachella with the tents and the outfits and the drinks and the hanging out. Like, it very much reminds me of that. So to me, the Modern Witch Tarot is very much the divination. And this is you have a little like hardback guidebook for this one. Love this deck. I I am drawn to this deck quite often. Number 6, As Above, a deck that connects the reader to cosmic or spiritual realms, ideal for soul work, life path exploration, or messages from the higher self. It speaks to the divine perspective. So after looking at my shelf for way too long, I picked Lana Fairchild's Sacred Rebels Oracle, Guidance for Living a Unique and Authentic Life. Why I picked this. Number 1, I haven't worked with this deck in quite a minute, but I have found that this deck really makes you think higher. So here's the backing. I don't particularly like the backing, but so new birth, guarded diligently, against the grain, inspiration, she feels, she knows, restore and replenish. Every journey starts with a single step, diving for light. So we'll just pause there and I will read for you. So for each one, it seems like we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this card, you have 5 pages. 1, 2, 3. So it seems like each card has between 3 and 5 pages. So for 11, diving for light. How brave you are. You're diving for light. It can be so much simpler to seek light in the heavenly, in that which is blissful, sweet, loving, and kind. To look for the light in that which is dark is an advanced task that only a rebellious and brave heart will attempt. You may not feel you have taken such a journey by choice. The Oracle of Diving for Light speaks of a time when you are called into darkness through life circumstances, situations, relationship challenges, or inner struggles that defy clear understanding. This to me, and then like she does have quite a extensive explanation, but then she goes into the healing process. Like, say this aloud, whether it makes sense to you or not. I call upon the presence of unconditional love. Be here now without restraint. Fill me and fill this space. Touch all beings with your grace. I feel the presence of unconditional love within me. And it goes on says to repeat morning and night for at least 3 days and continue for as long as you wish and feels good to you. I feel like this deck calls you to contemplate things that you wouldn't normally contemplate, things that are higher. Dream a beautiful dream. Go beyond normal. Listening for truth. I feel heaven sent. I feel that this very much connects people with the above. In every sense of the word, really. So this was Sacred Rebels by Lana Fairchild. Turn my page here because I did have to take notes. Can't remember all these prompts. Number 7, So Below, a deck you recommend for grounded, real-world readings. This one captures everyday emotions, human experience, and earthly wisdom with clarity and depth. So I picked for this one the Naked Heart Tarot by Julian C. Wilde. I absolutely adore this deck. This deck was my first like indie purchase. I followed her from the time that she was creating this deck until it launched. I immediately bought it, and I have been in love with it ever since. So this is the back, and this backing you can actually do is like a crystal grid if you would like to do so. So this deck is very minimalistic. It's very to the point. She does have an extra card in there, the Naked Heart, of course. It's animal based. I find I really connect with animals, herbs, things of that nature. This deck really connects me. It pulls me back into reality whenever I need it to. But I love how minimalistic it is. I love how simple. I love the lines. I love the pops of color that you randomly will see. She also includes in her cards astrological correspondences and the elements themselves. Very, very pretty. Love this deck. That is the Naked Heart Tarot by Julian C. Wild. Number 8, a hug deck. A deck that offers emotional support and comfort. Gentle, compassionate, and soothing. This deck feels like a warm hug for anyone going through a hard time. So for me, this is and I call this deck my soul deck. This is the Morgan Greer. And this backing, I'm sure a lot of you will immediately recognize, the backing. It is a very well-known image. This deck I love so much. This is also kind of like a more traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but to me it stands on its own. There is some nudity, but it's borderless. I love the images. I've had this deck for so long and I've worked with it so much that this deck immediately, just shuffling this deck makes me feel so good. The interpretations I get from it, while some of them can be not mean, but on point, most of it is very encouraging. It's very kind. At least that's what I find with this deck. Love this death card. I just love this deck so much. It's one of my favorites. It's my soul deck. Morgan Greer Tarot. And it's pretty sure it's by the Morgan Greer, or can't remember who, but Morgan Greer Tarot. And I actually made this bag for it, and then I also have a cloth in here that matches the bag for when I want to do readings, if I'm doing them on like a hard scratchy surface, so I can protect my deck. What one was that? A hug deck? Feel good? Was that the hug? No. Okay, yeah, so that was hug deck. So number 9 is Feel Good deck. A deck that uplifts, encourages, and energizes, whether through color, artwork, or message. This one is a perfect feel-good recommendation for readers who want joy and empowerment. Now, this deck is, I find so much joy in this deck, and it takes me back to a time of when I was very young and innocent. And this is the Disney Villains Tarot deck. So you do get a little guidebook here, right? I love this deck. It's also, the backing is purple, which I love. I love me a good purple deck. But this is, of course, it has Disney villains and villain-esque type of things, like the tower that is, Rapunzel's tower from Tangled. Mother Gothel is the Empress. Justice. True love. I just find so so much joy, and it makes me feel so good whenever the Hanged Man, whenever I use this deck, because I just think about all of these movies and how much I enjoyed them so much. 9 of coins. Knight of coins. Man, we all know him, taking those cats and throwing them into the water. 10 of wands. 6 of coins. And so this deck is every time I look at it, Queen of Wands, Page, got Scar, oh, got Lucifer, that cat from Cinderella, the hyenas, Cups, more hyenas, the World, Knight of Wands. So this is just, oh, High Priestess, of course, it's Maleficent. The Devil, the Hierophant. When I first got this deck, I hadn't watched Zootopia yet. And so when I saw this card, I was like, it's like the Hierophant, her? Like, who is this? But, and then I watched Zootopia. Okay, Joanna. I have a stuffed axolotl on my desk at work that I named Joanna because she is one of my favorites. All she wants is eggs. All she wants to eat is eggs. And he yells at her all the time for just, you know, for stealing his eggs and for trying to go find eggs. That's all she wants is just eggs. The Fool. Oh. 10 of Cups. Oh, the Wheel of Fortune. We know what that is. From Sleeping Beauty when she pricks her finger. 9 of Cups. 5 of Wands. So I love this deck so much. And if y'all want, I can do, I haven't done a full walkthrough of this deck yet, but I can if y'all would want me to. Oop, forgot that the deck goes first. So for the Feel Good deck, Disney Villains Tarot deck. And some of you might say, why is it Disney Villains? Like, shouldn't it be the other way around? But the older I get, the more I love the Disney villains. I love their backstories and like what made them the way that they are. And, you know, thinking about the villains just make me think about, you know, the movies themselves. My favorite villain is Ursula. Love her so much, but it just makes me feel so good. Okay. Number 10, most versatile, a deck you recommend for handling any type of reading, love, career, shadow work, daily pulls, and everything in between. Reliable, flexible, and reader-friendly, this is the all-rounder that adapts to every situation. For that one, I had to pull the Lightseers Tarot by Chris Ann. This deck is very much an all-rounder. It can help you with anything. Borderless, which I love. Images are clear and on point. Images are beautiful. Look at that. Just look at that, like, Knight of Cups. Look at that. I love it. Look. 4 of Pentacles. I love this so much. I feel like this is a good versatile deck that you can do pretty much any type of reading with, and you will get some clear answers. Love, love, love. Okay. It's back in here. I do just want to say this is my first VR I have ever done, and I am loving it so much. So that was most versatile. Number 11, most inspiring. A deck you recommend to inspire creativity, intuitive flow, or personal transformation, whether it's the art, the energy, or the depth of the messages. This one sparks something powerful in the reader. For this one, I had to go with Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic Tarot Deck by Callie Little and Moria Seal. I love this deck so much. It does come with a little tarot card stand if you would like to have that. The guidebook is instrumental in why I say that this is the most inspiring deck. But so this is the backing. Oop. And these are the cards. Now, when I first saw this deck, I didn't know how I felt about it. But the more I looked at it, the more I loved it. So I'm not like a big fan of photo collage or like photo manipulation in tarot decks. But something about this deck just continued to call to me, and I just couldn't walk away. So I brought it home, opened it up, and I have been in love ever since. So just case in point, we will do the Chariot. So for each card, you get a one-pager, and then you get the list of the upright position, the reverse position, but then you get channel the vibe. You get the stone that they think corresponds to this. Mood music, the song that you should maybe listen to when you are trying to contemplate or inherently be the Chariot. The scent that they think the Chariot reminds them of. And then numerology numbers, psychic visions, progress, internal journey. You get all of that with this, right? But not only that, but you also get, and I put it over here, now it's under everything. Well, I had to purchase this separately, but you can also do Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic, an interactive guide to tarot, ritual, and personal growth. So this is like a little journal. Okay, so let me find the Chariot here. Let's see, the Chariot. So for each one here, you get what was in the guidebook itself, right? But then over here, you get prompts and you get journaling things. It's like the Chariot calls you to be bold, to push ahead with a wild fantasy. Let's explore audacious ideas. Let your mind go wild and list 5 dreams that feel almost ridiculous, fanciful, thrilling, the kind that if they came true would blow your mind. That's where you list them. And then name a time in the past when you pursued something with reckless abandon. And then take a risk this week, allowing fantasy to be a friend. Pursue one of your audacious goals every day this week, and whether it results in anything or not, explore your feelings after a week of trying. There's power in the pursuit of fantasy. This deck really gives you the tools to like really explore and to really, it gives you prompts to really consider and to really think about what that card holds and what that card could inspire in other people. So I love this deck. When I first bought this, I used this deck. This was my everyday pull deck for quite a bit of time because I just love it so much. So for my most inspiring, Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic tarot deck. Okay, best for beginners. A deck you'd confidently recommend to someone just starting their tarot journey. Accessible, clear, and easy to learn with. This one makes tarot feel inviting rather than intimidating. So for that one, I picked the Everyday Witch Tarot. Little kitty cat on the back. This deck to me it's very inviting for beginners. The imagery is very calling to someone. It is like, you know, the Lovers. To me, that's a very easy way for someone to look at that and be like, that's two people in communion or two people in partnership, and they have created this fire and they're creating all of these things together. I just love this deck so much, and I feel that it is a very easy deck for beginners to look at and be like, oh, okay. Like, I get that, you know? Like, 8 of Pentacles. She's clearly already finished and has been working on, you know, all of these potions. She's finishing another one. She sees, you know, the progress of her work, and it's very fulfilling for her. And oh yeah. Queen of Swords. That almost looks like the Iron Throne. I just noticed that. The Hierophant. 9 of Wands. Look at all the smoking wands below her, and she still has 2 in her hands, and she's backed up to a tree, and you know, she clearly already has like wounds, and oh yeah. 6 of Wands. I feel that this is a very easy deck for folks to pick up, and would be very easy to understand. So, best for beginners, Everyday Witch Tarot. Boop. Okay. Then we are nearing the end. Best for professionals. Now, I had a hard time choosing for this because just like with the beginner prompt and now with the professional prompt, I feel like that is very much like, I can't tell someone what they feel is a beginner deck, or what someone just starting out reading tarot feels like they should read as a beginner deck. And so I don't feel like I come from a place where I can be like, this is what, you know, a professional tarot reader would be reading, because a newbie tarot reader could see this deck and be like, I resonate with this so hard. I get, you know, the images. I get what all of this means. Like, this is so easy for me. But it took me a minute, but I went along with it. This is and I can't ever... the Prisma Visions Tarot by James R. Eads. This is the backing. Got your little eye right there. It's gilded on the sides. I love this deck. I also have the Oracle version. This deck is, to me, I think it's because of all the like speckles and the snow and stuff. Sometimes it's hard for me to decipher what's actually in the picture. But I love this deck very much. I love that when you place all of the minor suits like together, it creates like one big picture. I love that moon card. It's so pretty. The Hermit. Love that Death card. Queen of Pentacles. So I feel like, to me, this deck is more advanced than some other decks. So this is the Prisma Visions Tarot deck for Best for Professionals. Next is 14, Witchy Vibes, a deck you'd recommend for those who love witchy aesthetics, moody vibes, magical symbolism, or spell work support casting, altar work, etc. So this is kind of like on point, but the Green Witches Oracle deck. To me, because I do vibe with the whole like green witch, nature witch bag, this deck really did that for me. So this is the Green Witches Oracle deck by Erin Murphy Hiscock, who is the author of The Green Witch. It is illustrated by Sarah Richard. So this is the backing. And this is very, to me, very witchy. You got snow, moon. It does have keywords here at the bottom after the main word itself. Mortar and pestle. Cup of tea. Pine tree, harvest, mushroom, spring, earth. So like with cauldron. So the only beef that I have with this deck is that it's not really in any type of like way that you can easily just like flip through and find. You kind of have to go let me see. Let me find it. She does have a lot of spreads in here. Okay, no, this guidebook does not have that. So there's no rhyme or reason to how they are put in, like harvest, tend, sow, winter, like autumn. There's no, so you kind of have to figure out where everything is. So let's find, and even though I've been using it for a while now, I still almost have to flip completely through to find what I'm looking for. But cauldron. Creation, opportunity, and caring. Self-transformation, one of the central goals of witchcraft, can be intimidating. The Cauldron card reassures you that brewing change is a chance to create new opportunities for yourself as well as those around you. This can be as simple as adopting a fresh outlook. The Cauldron encourages you to think creatively and to try combining things that may not seem to work together at first to solve a problem. The Cauldron is also a symbol of nourishing yourself and others. Caring for those around you is an enriching pursuit for all involved. And then it has a reflection question for each card. This one is, are you avoiding brainstorming different solutions when faced with a problem? So I really feel this deck it's very witchy in vibe. I don't like that mouth that's on that card. Potion, and then it has stones like moss agate, hedge, basil, earthworm, so there is very much witchy aspects to it. But this is my one for witchy vibes, the Green Witches Oracle deck by Erin Murphy Hiscock and illustrated by Sarah Richard. And then our last prompt is number 15, astrology work. A deck you recommend for astrology lovers and cosmic seekers, one that weaves planetary wisdom and archetypes into its structure, ideal for exploring birth charts, transits, and celestial guidance. For this one, I had to go with Heavenly Bodies Astrology, the deck, by Lily Ashwell. It comes with a hardback guidebook here that is pretty substantial, I feel like. But this deck, and I've had this for a while and I have not shuffled it. And the reason being is because I like flipping through it and knowing where everything is. So you have the sun, the moon, of course, then it goes into the planets, Mars, Saturn, and then here at the bottom, it'll give you things like Saturn. Feel restricted, experience struggle, learn hard work, and patience. Jupiter, grow and expand. And then it also has the symbol for each planet. Neptune, Pluto, transformation. And then it has a Chiron. And then it goes into the signs themselves, right? Cancer, Leo, Virgo. But let's get to the end here. Then, and this is what I haven't seen. So I have a couple other astrology, like oracle decks, or just like astrology decks, and none of them really go into the houses themselves. But this one does. Like house 1, individuality, self-image, and approach to life. House 2, physical security, possessions, material values, and self-worth. So it goes into all of the houses, and there's 12 of them. And then it goes into other terms that could be on your birth chart, like conjunction, opposition, a trine, a square, sextile. And then it goes into earth, air, fire, water, yin, yang, cardinal, fixed, mutable, north node, and south node. So it really goes into everything that you could potentially see on your birth chart. And then once you get into the guidebook itself, right? So let's see. So let's say for Libra. So for Libra, it talks about it right here, has the keywords, the energetics, the experiences, and the shadow of it. And then it has an omen. So like for Libra, it says, imagine a house where each room represents a significant part of your life. These rooms include, but are not limited to, self-care, work, passions, relationships, and exploration. Walk into each room, noticing how it feels. Which ones are vibrant, flooded in light? Do any feel dark, dusty, or empty? Are any outdated or in need of organization? Consider what you give to each room and what it gives to you in return. Your guides want every room to be somewhere you love spending time, where the energy you give matches the energy you receive. They want your house as a whole to feel balanced, supportive, and inspiring, and your life as a whole to be a true reflection of your soul. So it goes into each one, and then, so like for, see like a square. It says a square occurs when two planets sit 90 degrees away from one another. This is the most challenging dynamic to work through because it implies both an internal and external struggle. These are not only energetic blocks, but obstacles experienced in the world. It's vital to identify and support the squares in a chart because, if abandoned, this aspect can become a dooming, self-fulfilling prophecy. Internally, squares create feelings of confusion, conflict, or even paralysis in their energetic realms. And these blocks are magnified by outside events which seemingly conspire to reinforce the challenge. So, energetics, challenging experiences, a mountain to climb. So, and it is very easy. I love this deck because where I have my tarot planner where I draw cards, the monthly places. Let me pull it. I have it right here. It's hard to explain unless you have like a, let's see here. Let me go to a month. Why is it so hard to just flip to, okay. So like I just flipped to June. So for like June 9th, they have all of these symbols, right? Symbols and then things. And so I find it very easy to pull each card, line them up so that, and then I get the book and read them so I can very easily understand what's going on that day itself. And then they also have all of the symbols here on the side, all of the signs. Then you have all of the planets along here, and then you have North Node, conjunction, opposition, square, all of that stuff along here. So you're able to look at these and know what's happening, right? So and as for someone who has been trying to, trying to understand what things were happening and things that were going on in my life with that birth chart. This makes it very easy to do so. So I love this deck. I have a love-hate relationship with astrology, but I am working on it. So, Heavenly Bodies Astrology is my recommendation for the astrology deck. Okay, that was all of the prompts. I had so much fun doing that. I can't wait to start doing more VRs. I think they're so fun. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for sticking around. This is a longer than normal video, but that's okay. There was a lot of decks to go through. If you would like to know more about each deck, let me know below. If you would like a full walkthrough of any of the decks that I haven't already done one of, let me know. I will do that. But thank you so much for stopping in and watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, week, month, year. I wish you nothing but blessings and growth, and I will see you next time.